All right, what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. I got my guy Shane here. Shane? You just came off your biggest month last month.
Yeah, so in April I did $69,000 in issued paid.
Okay.
I think I submitted probably 75 to 80, but some of the policies fell off. That was my best month.
Okay. And what would you do in May?
Like 58,000.
58. Okay. And then you guys came out to Austin beginning of the year, January, right before convention. Maybe we did one of these, and you were consistently selling like 40,000 a month, right?
It was like 35, 40, 45, 30, but I really kind of leveled up a little bit in like the last 3 months.
Yeah, so I think because a lot of people watch this, and we talk a lot for people about like how to go from 0 to 40K, which is really, I think, 3 steps. One is like you learn how to actually work. Like we were talking about before we started this, if you're gonna learn how to sell and make multiple 6 figures in insurance, the beginning you're gonna have to work from 9 to 9. Like you're gonna work 12-hour days.
It's
minimally.
Inevitable. You have to master the skill first.
Yeah.
Like, the only way you're gonna master the skill, guys, is by dialing endlessly.
Yeah,
it sucks at first, but you want to learn something, you gotta do it continuously. It does suck, but
it sucks.
It does suck ass.
So does being broke.
Hey, I never want to go back.
Yeah. So you figured that out. It was you worked, then you got decent at closing, and then you started investing more in leads.
Yeah,
right?
and then I started investing more in leads, and I reached out to Ronnie. He's like, okay, the next step is to get some dialers. And
that's what I was gonna ask. So to get to 40, it was like you figured out work ethic, lead flow, and then how to close at a decent level. You got more confident. So what are the few things you've changed to go from 40 to 70K for people that want to like take that next step? Like what's the next evolution to get to be the top end 70K producer?
So you need to invest more in leads for there's no emotions attached to that. The more people you talk to every day, the more opportunities you get, the more chances you get to close, right? So if I'm talking to 100 people versus 200 people, there's going to be a big difference in how many I close.
Yeah.
No emotions attached. And then the next thing is I got better at realizing, okay, Zach is just talking to me about his grandkids and his war when he was in the war and Pearl Harbor and whatever it may be. And when I sensed he didn't want to buy insurance, I hung the fucking phone up.
Yeah.
I moved on, and I promise you that extra 10 minutes every hour makes a big day in your difference. It's an extra close. So I think I really was able to start smelling people that were genuinely interested, that wanted the product, and I moved on quicker too. So that came from, like we said earlier, is being able to do the dials on and master the skill. Mastering the skill is not just learning how to, hey, Zach Jadowski, the routing number and account numbers. You start to get better at really knowing is Zach serious or not.
Yeah. And I think the only way to figure that out is going through enough reps, right? Because if you try to guess early on who's going to buy or not, then you'll miss out on some of the buyers because you don't have the cues picked up. Like, when do you think you started knowing pretty confidently who was going to buy or not and when you should move on?
After 90 days.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning when I started working, I was giving Zach the benefit of the doubt or Bob the benefit of the doubt. And I would hear it out, and it would, like 45 minutes would go by, and he was like, I don't want the insurance.
Yeah.
But now that hasn't happened to me in a long time where I've talked to somebody for more than 20 minutes and they didn't end up buying insurance.
Yeah. Yeah, you get to the point where you have it dialed in, it just becomes kind of a math formula for you. Yeah. Now, you mentioned the dialer thing. Like, what did you implement? How did you find a dialer that would work for you? Like, and dialer, we're talking about like a person overseas or local, but they're dialing the phone for you, setting appointments for you, and doing live transfers for you, right?
So I reached out to my mentor, Ronnie. He was like, Marlene is in the Philippines. And then I started with one dialer, just get my feet in the water. And it was pretty cool. Like they call for you. Like I have them go through my old leads, and then I call the new leads myself. After I call the new leads myself, then the dialer can go behind me. So, but I still, like, just because I had a dialer, I was still dialing until an appointment came or I got a live transfer. I have 2 phones. The first phone, I'll just use the call to close myself. And I'll have the other phone just waiting for that live transfer. Even if I'm on the phone and someone's BSing me, if I sense they're not serious, I'll hang up and pick up the live transfer.
Got it.
Because the dialer is really like direct. Like I told her, okay, you need to make sure these people know this is for life insurance. I don't want to waste my time. And that it's replicating myself in a sense. Sure, the dialer is not going to be as good as me as closing, but their job is not to close.
Right.
Their job is to present me with opportunities with more chances to close. Right.
And they're working all your old leads, right? So you're able to filter through. Like the first time you filter through, you take the laydowns, you take the easy ones, like you clean them up. Then the second time back through, the dialer does that, but they're super direct, and they just are basically catching everyone that you didn't get on the phone the first time. Because if you got them on the phone, you probably would have closed them.
Absolutely.
So how many dialers? Do you have 2 dialers, you said, total?
I have 2 now. I did have 3 at one point, and it just I lowered my lead spends a little bit because I've been traveling a little bit more.
Yeah.
But when I'm in Lexington and I know I'm going to be there for 2 weeks in a row, we're going to amp it up, just depending on what's going on.
And the dialers cost, what, $400 a week?
$400
something like that?
a week, and if they close one policy, I double or triple my investment.
And how much do you sell per dialer per week?
at least $3,000 or $4,000.
At least 3 or 4. Got it. So you sell an extra $6K a week, spending an extra $800 a week.
Yeah, that's in the real world. You can't do that.
You can't do that.
You
no,
cannot, guys.
But that's how a business. That's how you're
Yeah.
supposed to think about a business, right? Like, okay, like here's how a business person would do this. This thing gives me this return. Why would I not double down on that?
Yeah, and honestly, at some point, I'm not really there yet. I'm gonna spend $5,000 or $6,000 a week and have $4 and submit 120K.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. I just haven't really gotten to that level yet. But and it's all emotions aside. It's really, if you do this, you spend more, you're gonna have more opportunities. And I can't go through 300 leads a day, right? It's just impossible. Even if I woke up at 6 and stayed until 11, it's just not gonna happen. But if I outsource this work, like a smart businessman would, or somebody that really wants to level up their business, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
And I followed my mentor's guidance. I swallowed my ego and my pride, and I was coachable. And anyone who's watching this, I am not special.
Yeah.
If I can do it, anyone else can. I used to drive Uber, for anyone else that didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right?
So, and the thing I would ask you about that, because I think I've seen this thing happen a lot where people get really good at sales, but there's a point of diminishing returns. I think when you start spending so much and doubling down so much on leads and then like dialers and stuff, where all of your time becomes consumed with sales, and it really leaves you limited time to build. So it's like, is your goal to build too, or just to sell at a really high level, or are you still trying to figure that out in your head what you want to do?
No, so I am pretty hard-headed. I was like, I'm gonna write $1 million in 2025. Fuck building. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But then I realized, okay, I'm kind of sick of being on the phones. It is
all day.
All day. It's like, okay, I love you too, Susan, but man, I don't want to do this all day for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So now I kind of changed my goals. Like, I'm gonna hit Hall of Fame this year. I'm at like 250,000 so far year to date.
So you'll breeze by that.
And then I want to have a team at least 200,000 to 300,000 in team volume. And then hopefully by the end of 2026, at least $1 million.
So I want to, because what I learned this, because I used to sell a lot, and I remember there was like a point where I was like, dude, I realized if I spend too much more time selling, like it's kind of linear growth. Like you sell more, but you have to, and then if you sell a lot, like say you sell 70K, then the next month you sell 50, then the 50 feels like 30 because the chargebacks from the 70, you know? So it's like that's the one thing I realized. I was like, if you're going to sell at a high level, you have to always kind of sell at a high level.
In order to deposit the same amount of money every single month, if you're strictly selling, you have to sell 70, 90, 110.
Yeah, you have to keep going up.
You have to keep going up, and that's very difficult. It's not that you're not going to have.
Or if you sell the same amount every month, have the same amount of chargebacks every month, like it will even out over time.
Yeah.
So like what I realized, and like my challenge to people would be like, okay, like can you be the number one producer? Yeah, but I don't know a lot of people that have been like. That have sold like 100K a month a bunch of times that have built really big teams because it's not that replicatable.
Yeah.
You know, so like I think you have to make that decision. Like, okay, is my main goal going to be selling, or is my main goal going to be recruiting and building a team? And if your main goal is to build a team, then you should go like, hey, is everything I'm doing replicatable for a bunch of agents? You know, and so like because I think having a dialer is really good, especially for the top few people. But I never had one, and part of the reason I didn't have one is because I didn't want that to be an excuse for people. Where they're like, well, you have a dialer, so you're better at selling.
And I've heard that. Like people in the office be like, oh, you don't even work. You have a dialer.
You don't even
like,
work. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, don't make excuses. Don't say that I'm doing that. I started just like you started, dude.
Yeah.
And then like you're saying that because you're not getting results. It's not my problem. And
yeah.
Like I said earlier, I call to close until I get an appointment or a live transfer. So it's like the dialer in my mind kind of doesn't exist.
Yeah. And I think when you're building, you should tell people, like, I still dial. I have the dialer so that I can buy back some extra time and they can work through my old leads, but I still call all my new leads.
I do,
yeah. Yeah, and let people know that. But I think you have to make the decision. You're like, I could get to 120K a month and issue paid, or you could teach, like, you could be selling 50, and then you could teach 3 other people to sell 50, you know, and then you're doing 200K a month.
And it's less stressful.
And it's less stressful, and you actually will make more money because you're not the one spending all the money on leads, and you can really duplicate yourself into a business, you know? So I know normally we kind of talk about like the story and everything, but I was just like, if you can kind of reshift your mind, what happened for me was I was like, I wanted everything that I started doing to become replicatable. Because I did the same thing you're talking about in recruiting. I was like, okay, like if we spend this much on leads every single week for recruiting, and we do this many recruiting calls, and we do this many interviews and this many group interviews, I can add this many agents. But I was like, I can only add that many agents every week if I do that. If I scale it back a little bit to where I'm doing a little bit less, but then I'm teaching other people to do the same thing, we can do way more.
Yeah.
We can recruit at a much higher level because it's not all dependent on me.
Yeah.
you know? So I guess like when you think about that, does it change your game plan moving forward at all? Or like based on that, like how would you restructure your goal for the rest of the year, do you think?
Now I want to slowly get the team volume up, and just if I can have a team at 100,000 and I have a 40% spread, I'm taking 25 to 30,000 chargebacks and 75 advance, and I can easily say confident I can write 30 to 40,000 a month.
Yeah.
And that's just more, that's like you said, less stressful, and it's always good. The team is going to grow naturally. Like, it's really hard to keep going from like 50,000 and if you paid then 75, then 100,000, 125,000. But it's much easier to get a team to go from 50 to 100 because, like you said, it's not on Hussein or Zach.
Yeah.
Where it's a business now. There's other people under me that are growing the agency too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the hardest thing, like we did a meeting on last week on Friday, and then we did a meeting on Saturday, and we talked a lot about building, recruiting, selling, and you were there, and I'm glad you came out for it. But a lot of it was like, you have big pops of business, and your goal is to find leaders. I think everyone's like, we said before we started this, you're like, I want 20 people that sell 20K a month. I'm like, that's what everybody wants, but you can't find those 20 people without finding 100 other people.
Yeah.
You can't find 20 people that sell 20K a month because that'll be your top 20%. You can't find them without having 100 writers because you need them to be the top 20.
I never thought about it that way. I always wanted life to be perfect, where I hire 20 Zacks, and this life doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that, dude. Think about this. So the example we gave was like, I think they said there was like 6 million people in America last year that played football at some level, whether it was like Pop Warner, flag football, high school, college, semi-pro, or like drunk fat dads playing on the weekends, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, out of all those people, the active NFL roster is 1,600 people.
So what's 1,600 divided by 6 million?
A tiny percentage.
It's almost negligible. Right?
Yeah, it's a tiny percentage, right? But think about that. Think about, like, it's a dumb example, but think about if the NFL teams, when everyone was born, they were like, okay, here's all the people, here's the 6 million people that are going to play football. Pick your starting team now as babies. Like, it sounds effing stupid, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
But we try to do the same thing in business. We're like, oh, like these are the people that we're gonna pick, and they're gonna be my guys. And it doesn't work that way because it's all based on performance, you know.
It's not, yeah.
So for me, I had to learn like, oh, okay, like I can't necessarily change the outcome because you don't know what people are gonna do. You don't know what are in people's hearts, and you can get better at coaching them.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to you have to put enough inputs in to where you'll get enough outputs out, and then you can get better at coaching people along the way.
Like, the thing about it is too, you can present opportunities to 10 million people, but if they don't want to work, it's just never gonna.
You can't make them.
You can't. Like, you even sort of the whole Gary example. Like, I can't do anything about that. And like, if some people are okay with like coming to the office at 10, dialing till 4:30, and getting one policy every 3 days, I can't force anything more than that, right?
Yeah.
They're a 1099 employee at the end of the day, and my goals and your goals in life are different than Sarah and Bob's. It's just.
And the things that drive us and our backgrounds, and everyone's different in all those ways, right?
Absolutely.
And I think like there's so many. We have such a simple business, but people are complicated.
Yeah.
Like, our business is really simple. It's like you recruit this many people, like this many on average will sell, and this many, and then there's certain things you can do to get more out of people. But the variable is people. They're all different, and all like different. People aren't robots. You don't know what happened to someone when they're 6 years old that may change the way they think now.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's why you have to go through that whole process. So for you, okay, your goal is to get to 200K by the end of the year, 250 by the end of the year. Yeah. And we're in June now. We're at the end of June 23rd. We're at the end of June now.
Yeah.
What are some things after the last week, some stuff that you've learned, and you've been around people like Ronnie and other people who are building big businesses quickly? Like, what are a few things you're gonna implement when you get back to Lexington to be able to get to that 200K?
And so now my attitude has absolutely changed. I want to get to 250K. I'm put way more attention into that, and like, I'm very thankful. I'm not here to I'm in a much better financial position than I was 6 months ago and 9 months ago. So I really don't have to sell that much to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So it's much smarter for me to go, okay, let's put all the money, not all the money I have, but as much money as I can into building and finding these 100 people and finding 20 people that can sell 20K.
Yeah.
But I know if I invest a bunch of money now, I'm going to see way bigger fruits later on.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, I'm going to say I'm burnt out, but I'm kind of sick of dialing all the time. And it's more fun to build. Like, your interactions are more fun on Zoom. You're talking shit to Zach. You're talking to Mustard, whatever it may be. You're talking about what you guys did. But if you're sitting in your office all day talking to getting spat on the phone, it's kind of mentally draining after a while, right?
And dude, I think it makes it easier when you have a few people doing it with you to keep going because like if you bring on me and then I start doing well and I like I'm selling almost as much as you are right away.
That makes
Like
me
you
feel
want to
good,
do more.
too.
Yeah, you feel good about what I've
Yeah.
done, but I was competitive, dude. So like when I brought Easton on and then Easton started selling close to as much as I was like, oh hell no, dude.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen. Like I'm gonna keep leading from the front and be the number one guy on my team every single week. And then there was a point where I had to give that up and go like I can't sell anymore.
Yeah.
But for a long time, I was like, dude, he's good. I'm gonna sell more than he is. Like, oh, he went out on Sunday and sold. Like I'm also gonna go out on Sunday and sell.
Motivating,
Yeah,
right?
like
Like,
yeah, because it's fun to do it with people. Like you said, it's fun to be in it with other people.
Yeah, and then we're also back to the psychology. We're social creatures, right? We don't like to be isolated. Like this morning, I sold a policy for like $81, and I was like, all right, Cole and Tyler, catch up. Why don't you sell anything? Like it's fun. I'm creating like a little motivation, like you said with Easton, right?
Yeah. So what do you think? How many interviews are you gonna start doing like per day or per week to be able to get to the goal you have? Because you're good at selling and you're good at training people how to sell. So now you just have to do which is the easier part, is just do the recruiting part.
Yeah. So I mean, like you're doing the Instagram ad for $1,000. I don't know if I'm going to start with $1,000 a week, but I'm going to start that. There's a connect in Egypt, and she's doing it with Mahmoud, and I'm going to get in contact with her.
Yeah.
And part of it was like I was so fixated on selling. Now I've shifted so much more to like, because I'll never be able to make the same income as a seller versus building.
Yeah.
It's just never going to happen. It's never ever going to happen.
And the impact you have can't be as high because you can only really impact the families you help, which is important.
Yeah.
But if you can teach 5 other people who were where you were driving Uber to make multiple 6-figure income, you feel a lot better about what you're doing
that's
too.
almost reaching self-actualization, dude.
Yeah, and you get to help way more clients too because way more people get insurance, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So it starts to feel really good, right? What you said like your perspective changed after this week. I think one of the most important things I learned was like you get to be a average of the 5 people you hang around the most, income wise, thought process wise, ethics wise, like morals wise. What do you what are you doing to potentially get in the room with the right people, like Ronnie, like Calvin, like other people who have done really well in business, to make sure you keep elevating your goals and changing your mindset all the time?
Yeah, so I'm becoming more of a sponge. Like I've really, like when I was way more hard headed and my ego was way higher, like day one here at Family First Life. But now I'm like, whatever Calvin says, whatever Ronnie says, whatever Mahmoud says, I just shut the fuck up and do it.
Yeah.
Because they're making 7 figures. And whatever you say on your podcast or in person, I just shut the fuck up and listen to you. I hate to cuss on, but
yeah,
most humans are kind of prideful and hard-headed, but
you have to humble yourself. That's what I had to humble myself at some point too. And I had to go like, hey, there's people that know more than me.
Yeah, and I'm sure you take Sean really serious, right?
100%. I just do everything he tells me to do.
You want to be in his position one day, and I'm sure he had a mentor when he started this too.
Yeah.
It's just how life works, right? When I was driving Uber, most of my friends were driving Uber, and it was like, okay, where am I going with this? They're just driving Uber and then getting drunk on Friday and Saturday. And it's like, where am I going with my life?
Yeah.
So that was part of the problem too. I didn't know who the hell you were or Ronnie was or Mahmoud was. But then when I was presented with the opportunity, it's like, okay, let's do it. And now, hey, I'm forever grateful for this opportunity, and I'm never going to take my foot off the gas.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, dude, thank you for jumping on. I think it was cool to kind of like see your perspective shift this week, and I think get focused on building, because I look at it now, like I'm like, I love to sell too. And it was hard for me to switch that mindset, but once I switched and fell in love with recruiting and building and mentoring people, it's a lot more fulfilling. And it's like insurance, like your day job, and then building a business is like the actual career, the actual business of the business, you know. And it becomes very fulfilling, but then you start making more money than you know what to do with. But it's delayed gratification because you put in a lot of work up front, and then 90 days later, 120 days later, you start to see the fruits of those labors.
And you see big fruits, guys.
And you have to be patient.
You have to be. Thank you for having me, Zach. And
yeah, dude.
I'm honored and
thanks for coming back again. It's cool to see you go from 40 to 70. Now, my goal would be next time you come on in 6 months, you're like, hey, my team's doing $300K a month, and I'm selling 50 still, or 40, or I don't have to sell anymore at all.
Yeah, that's the next step, and I'm excited for it.
All right, let's make it happen, dude. Good seeing you, bro.